law this last summer. And the cool part about it is, my son-in-law was one of my students when I taught at Evans. And one of the things they got for a shower gift was one that was this color. And he walked into my shop over Christmas break and he said, "Hey, can we do something like this out of wood?" And me, I'm like, "Sure, sure." Now you can buy these at Walmart for $10. Okay? And the thing is, it comes with a little plastic vase. Now, the good news is I started looking for these back in February. Sometime in February, he called me up and I told him I was looking for them and wasn't able to find them. He called me up one afternoon and said, "Hey, I'm at Walmart and they got them." I said, "Buy me two." And so the good news is, these two I've been able to keep alive since February. Which in my house that's quite an accomplishment. Because we both have the black thumbs.
Death.
Yeah. Now, one thing I've learned about bamboo, yeah, is it doesn't like direct sunlight. It's a member of a grass family. Bill said if you plant this out in your yard, you'll never get rid of it.
I'll drink to that.
Okay, but in my bathroom I've got a skylight. These things have done great in my bathroom. And so, whenever my son-in-law came in, he said, "I want to put it in one of these." Okay? And so I started going everywhere trying to find what it was. He didn't tell me it was a lidded vase. And finally, after going to Hobby Lobby, Walmart, Target, World Bazaar, everywhere imaginable, I got smart enough to ask him, "Hey, where did you get that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's a lidded deal at Hobby Lobby, and I took the lid off, and it's all of $1.99. And if you are not aware of it, I'll pass this around. If you are not aware of it, if you have a smartphone and you go to Hobby Lobby, you can Google Hobby Lobby coupon. You don't even have to print it off. When you're checking out, you just show them your phone, they type in the 40% off, and you save 40% on one item.
You can do the same thing at Michael's.
Yep, yep. So, if you're not aware of that, hey, I might have just saved you a little bit of money. You can donate your savings to the building fund. Okay. What I didn't tell Terrell, my son-in-law, when we started to do this was, "I've never turned anything like this." I said, "Yeah, we can do it." And so I don't know if any of you are like me, but I have an abundance of just logs, half logs, running around in my shop. And I was like, hey, this would be a good thing to use up some of this big wood that's in my way. And so we machined this a piece. He decided to go with the same dimensions of the store-bought one. I believe, if I remember right, this is 2.5 thick. This project involves something that I'm going to call negative space. Because you do not have a full circle, it's flat on the bottom, and it's got a hole in the middle. Negative space can add interest. Now there's people out there in the wood turning community that utilize negative space in their turnings. You know, there are bowls, there are platters that after they turn it, they will take material out to add interest. Now, yep. Well, you know, our segmented turnings, the open segmented is utilizing negative space to add interest. Now, being the dummy that I was, when we first attempted that project, I measured the glass tube, and it's like 4.5 deep. It's got to be cut with an 1 3/4 bit. The bit is shorter than that. But the good news is, on my drill press, my chuck is a smaller diameter than 1 3/4. So the chuck was actually able to go into the hole that it bored in the top. Okay. Now, I did this before I cut the circle. And you notice that this one is quite a bit more substantial than this one, and excessively more substantial than our previous effort. And so let's see if that'll work better. Can you still hear me in the back, Gordon? Wonderful. So that's going to work. All right. I'm going to set this and this over here. I bought this at Lowe's. It's one of the self-feeding bits. These can really get away from you quickly. As I was drilling these holes last night, one of my neighbors out at the shop was over visiting with me. He said, why don't you drill a hole the depth you want, a larger diameter than the self-feeding lead screw? And so I did it. You know, it was somewhere around under a 1/2 inch, but pretty close. Bill asked me this morning on the way here how I got the hole centered. Well, it's just a matter of, getting this centered in the hole you pre-drilled. And that worked really well until I got down to the bottom, and I didn't want a hole protruding out of the bottom of my blank. So I took it out. Well, what happened was, when I drilled, I didn't have my hole quite to the bottom, and it broke off a plug of wood in here that I'm going to have to drill out before I can reinsert this lead screw. And I just didn't want to do that at 11 o'clock last night when I was getting ready for this. So, but that's an easy fix. All right. When my son-in-law did this, we did it with a flat on the bottom. And when he got to the point where he was sanding, it was almost beating him to death. And I'm like, man, how can we keep that from happening? And the answer to that is, you put a sacrificial piece so that you can have a full circle. This piece will come off hopefully after it's completed. I started to use screws to attach it, but then I was like, nah, I don't like that. And so I've used a paper joint, which is glue on both surfaces, some brown paper in the middle, and hopefully it should separate at the end. So we will see. All right. So without further ado,
Jim,
yes, sir?
I've done that with carpet tape.
Ah, carpet tape. That was
It'll work.
yeah, it'll work. And I've used carpet tape before, and I just didn't think about that last night.
You can't find it when you need it.
Yep. Well, that happened more than once last night. Now, I'm only going to use the face shield on the outside. And then I'll switch to some safety glasses. So, one of the things we need to do first is true up the outside edge. I guess this actually shows you that the front hand, the hand that rides against the tool rack, really does nothing other than make it a little easier. I'm going to speed it up. That's not going to work. Oh, turnabout is fair play. We can pass this around. All right. We'll get to making some shaving. That's good. Now, I'm going to create my curve on the outside. And this is very similar to the bracelet that Larry demonstrated last month. Alright, I'm gonna go the other direction. Whoops, that's a little too much. I'm making the mistake of not watching the back profile. If I watch the back profile, I have a lot better chance of not messing up. So I'm going to take this about down to the chuck, and I'm looking to get a pleasing curve. I will say something about this wood. A few years ago, Bill called me up and said, they are cutting down some walnut trees on the campus of WT. Would you like some walnut? Bill, how long ago was that?
About 4 years.
4 years ago. Now, this wood has been setting in log form, or half log I should say, in my shop for 4 years. It still has some moisture in it. Alright, that's good. We're fairly close. Alright. I still have my flat on the bottom. That's a good thing. Not a whole lot of torn grain, but some. So, at this point, before I shift around, I'm going to use a negative rate scraper. And I'm going to get a little longer tool rest. And I'm using my tool rests, not the clubs, because this one has a bunch of dings in it. Now, I will not throw this, but pass it around. One of the things you can do to improve your turning is smooth out the chips or the dings in your tool rest. Your tools ride much smoother. And the deal about negative rate scraping is it eliminates a majority, well I won't say majority, but an abundance, that would be a better word, an abundance of sanding. Because now, it looks like I need to go a little bit more right there because there's a little torn grain that I don't want to have to sand out. So, and this is one thing you cannot see with the lathe running. So, get it taken care of before you sand. And this is a time when I use a lot of body movement, watching the back profile to try to keep things symmetrical on the front and the back. I can also do some marginal shaping with sandpaper, but it takes longer. All right, let's see where we're at. Oh, it's getting better. It's getting better. You can also do the same thing with a skew. If you do not have a negative rate scraper. So, I'm just, well, yeah, 80 grit works. If you need 40 grit, come see me. I've got some at the shop. I did not bring it today. Don't do that, because that, yeah, it works just like one of those,
Guillotine.
yeah, one of those, okay. So it's almost completely good here on this torn drain area. And I would personally prefer to work with a negative rake and the skew chisel scraping for 3 or 4 minutes if it will save me 10 to 15 minutes of sanding. To me, that's a very good trade. Now I'm going to get my safety glasses, if I can remember where I put them. Robert Marsh comes by my shop occasionally, and he, do we still have this up here? Robert didn't send me this, but my nephew sent me this. It reminded me of our meetings. Do you know what this is? Oh, well, it's definitely wood. But Robert has complained about my bad humor, and since this is April Fool's Day, and I just got out the, oh yeah, baby, the safety glasses. Did y'all hear about the accident at Lens Crafters this last week? One of their technicians slipped, fell into the lens grinder, and made a spectacle of himself. Boo! Boo! Clean and bad. It doesn't get any better.
I wish it would.
All right, now we are ready to begin taking out the center. I could have drilled a hole. I need to come up with the tool rest.
Why did you stop it before you moved the tool rest, Jim?
Because this way I can check it and see. I didn't last time. It's a good, I try to demonstrate safe methods. Okay, so I'm actually just using the bit here, or the use it like a drill bit. I just opened it up. Okay, now, when I get to that point, I'm going to be dealing with cutting air on part of this. So I need to be prepared, or be ready for that when it happens. All right? But ready for it? Oh, now it looks like a donut. It looks exactly like a donut. Would be where I would have a light over here. The light just helps. I started to bring it, and then I was like, now the center is 1 3/4 inch diameter. I want to have space on either side of the cylinder that's going to go through the center. So I've got to cut the sides of this hole completely away. And so I've got a little ways yet to go. Okay, let's see where we're at.
How far are you away from the teeth of the chuck?
the teeth of the chuck. Well, right now, I am about in that deep. The chuck stops way back here. Alright, let's see how we look here. Oh, this is nice. I've got an exit hole for my sawdust. It's falling straight down. Alright. I left my good negative rake scraper that I took the trouble last night to sharpen it up. I set it on the lathe beside the grinder, sharpened up 2 more scrapers, and left it sitting right there. All right, so.
You know it's gonna be sharp.
Yep, next time I use it. All right, now, to eliminate sanding on the inside and to refine my shape, I'm going to use a scraper and I raise the tool rest up . And I'm going to get all the way down to where I've done. Okay. Let's look at that, see how it is. I need a little more work down around the hole area. Because scraper burrs do not last that long, I bought 2. So you can see the stuff that's coming off. Let's see if this would eliminate sanding. Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. All right. Now I want to talk about sanding for just a minute. I use a lot of random orbit sanding discs because I've got a random orbit sander and I buy them in bulk. But if I just fold the disc and use it by hand, really the only place it's sanding is where my fingers are. I got this at the paint store over on the Clovis Highway. I forget the name of it. Felix West. Is that the paint store? Okay.
Either that or Allen.
I think it was the color place. All right. So I'm going to slow the leg down to sand. This keeps my hands from getting hot. I'm starting here with a little bit of 100 where I had this torn grain, just because it may need it. Okay? This makes it real handy to get in this hole where the slicer is, to be able to sand, and it doesn't get hot on my fingers. Okay? That's good for 100. I'm going to move to 150. Now, Ed was making fun of the dumpster diving. But guess where the other one that I have came from? Yeah, yeah. And this is called a soft block flexible sanding block. I have no clue where they bought it, but I know where its home for a long time is going to be. Because it just makes it a whole lot more pleasurable experience sanding. It increases your surface area. And it just works really well. Okay?
Jim Bob is an old computer geek, I use mouse pads.
Mouse pads. Okay? I can see right here where I have true end grain that it needs to be sanded some more right there. Let's check it out on the other side. Got just a little bit of torn grain here. But I'm fixing to reverse it. I can take care of that. What I am concerned about is the inside hole on this side. Yes?
Would orienting that hole that goes through from side to side parallel to the end grain be an advantage?
You can orient it any way you want.
I know.
I don't
Get
know.
rid of a lot of end grains.
I do not know. Okay, now I'm going to shift to some regular paper. This is, yes? Sure.
When you're cutting the air like that, this is what I do. I run my lathe as fast as it will go.
Yeah. Well, I did have this one wrapped up as high as it would go on this setting. This is not the primo lathe we normally demonstrate on, but it is what can be put in the trailer and moved to Slayton easily. Okay, so all right, we're going to say that's good. I can sand this some more later on because of the way that I'm going to remount it. But my torn grain is almost gone. If we had an overhead shot, you would see that. Now, last month, what did you talk about protecting the jaws with?
You could use,
Oh, use the microphone.
excuse me, you could use, you know, the stuff, the rubber type stuff, man, you put in your cabinets, something like that, that'll fit over here, and it won't, or you can use rubber bands,
O-ring?
something like that, yeah, any kind of, that'll keep it from slipping when you open it up.
You can get closed cell rubber and rubber gasket works really good.
Okay.
This is closed cell rubber from Walmart. It's basically craft foam is what it is. So you could get it at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, any of those spots. Okay, now, so I've got my closed cell foam on the inside. and I'm opening up my chuck until I get a good fit. I'm making sure my front face is firm against the face of the jaws. I want to see how true it's going to run. It's not bad. I can live with that. All right. Last night I cheated because I knew I was going to drill this hole to initially put my chuck in to expand. And I said, you know, I might be crunched for time. So why don't I take that hole way deep? And so that's what I did. So now all I have to do is the remainder of the hole that is on this side. And so Bill will be happy. Bummer. And I know that the force could make this break apart. Okay? So the tool rest, as Vicki says, is part of a safety. I'll slow it down just a little bit. Okay? And we'll try it again.
Not even take a lighter cut.
Yeah. Oh yeah, now it's working the way it's supposed to. You know, if you've never demoed, anything that can possibly go wrong in a demo will go wrong.
Yes. And that's good for people to see,
Yep,
so they know they're not the only one.
that's right. It happens to me with great regularity. So, and you know, when it happens, I evaluate, I say, okay, what did I do wrong so that I don't do that again? But the problem is I'm forgetful, or I get in a hurry. Getting in a hurry is my greatest enemy. Okay. Now, for those of you who have witnessed my demonstrations before, you know that I normally like to give things away. During my demo. Now today all I'm going to give away is a little bit of advice. Chase slow women. They're easier to catch. Alright? Yeah. If you chase those fast women, you gotta work hard. Now, there is a reason I do not have a handout for this. And that reason is I spent a great majority of this week placating my wife, getting our taxes finished. And so I figured that, you know, I could do one or the other, but not both.
It's a lot of gall to blame the taxes on your wife.
Well,
I just tried it.
you know, she makes more money than I do now.
Well, there you go.
Well, supposedly.
I'm not gonna brag about having a fast lane.
That's what you're telling Uncle Sam, right?
No. Okay, this is a spindle gouge. Okay, so I'm gonna get my tool rest inside. I better spin it by hand to make sure it's gonna work. Yes, it will. I'm probably a little tired. Yeah, I'm right in the middle of the hole there, and I think that's pretty close. Pretty close to matching up. Yep. Okay, so now, all that I need to do on this side is scrape, sand, something that would not work in a vacuum truck. Now, I've got one little ridge in there I need to take off that was felt with the meat calipers. And I need to refine this corner right here. So I'll use my negative rake scraper to do that. Okay, so in the interest of time, I am going to forego the sanding on this side. But I am going to try to get it reasonably close. Need to take off some more right there. I've done that more than once. Okay, so you see how this is. Now, let's look at, let's say I've sanded, finished. Let's look at how we take this off. In honor of my grandfather, who was a finish carpenter for several years down in the Dallas area, I decided I would use his chisel. I'm not hitting it hard. The paper joint separates, comes off. And I will put the pretty side toward y'all, not the dogged up side that decided it would fight with the chuck. Now, I've got to do one thing down in here because I did not drill my initial hole deep enough. So I've got to trim off a little stem. It is now gone. Voila. Take the $10 Walmart thing, throw it away. Oh, it's time to transplant. Oh, well, I want that little gooey stuff down in there because whenever I forget to water it, that stuff keeps moisture in here. I would think some little gravel in the bottom would make it look really cool. I'm not a horticulturalist, so I don't know if, you know, these strings need to come off, but there you go. Does anyone have any questions?